everyone, and welcome to the Conscious Marketer podcast presented by Avenue. This is the podcast designed for marketers who want to make an impact. The Conscious Marketer is your guide to marketing that matters. Stay updated on the latest marketing trends, learn to craft strategies that resonate with your values, and be inspired by stories from entrepreneurs who are reimagining business for a brighter future. We're here to use marketing as a force for good. This is our inaugural podcast episode, but what you can expect going forward are overviews of marketing updates that have happened in the recent months, interviews with entrepreneurs who are making their dreams a reality, and special interviews with members of our team in their specific areas of expertise, including but not limited to the use of artificial intelligence within digital marketing, tracking, analytics, and GA4, creative recommendations, and more. We're Avenue Agency, a certified B Corp and women and minority-owned digital marketing agency based in Portland, Oregon, passionately dedicated to amplifying the change we want to see in the world through transformative conscious marketing. I'm Megan Keneally, and I will be your host today. My guest today will be Reed Emerson, Avenue's Director of Strategy, and we'll be chatting through a myriad of updates that took place in the digital marketing sphere over the course of Q3. Before we get started, I wanted to remind you to subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and you can also subscribe to our Conscious Marketer newsletter, which will be linked in the episode description. So today I have with me Reed, Avenue's Director of Strategy, and we're going to be talking through the last quarter of updates in the digital marketing world. But we want to start with a fun question so you can get to know us a little bit. So Reed, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and then also tell me, what's your marketing Roman empire?
Hey, Megan, thanks for having me. I'm Reed Emerson. Like she said, I am the Director of Strategy here at Avenue Agency. And my marketing Roman empire, that's a great question. I would have to say right now, what's happening with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce? It's all over my For You page. It's everywhere. Is this PR? Is it a true relationship? And what has it done for the NFL?
Reed, I totally agree. I think actually you can head over to our TikTok and see a couple of TikToks we recently made about the absolute genius that Taylor Swift is when it comes to digital marketing. And on top of that, did you know that because of all of this and this increase in press that she's getting, she's actually become the #1 most Googled person in the world?
I'm not surprised. I think I've Googled her a time or two myself.
I would say the same. But speaking of Google and rankings, I want to tell you about one of Google's latest algorithm updates. We know that they're updating the algorithm all the time, changing up how our results are ranking, how you might see your keywords ranking. So I want to tell you about this most recent update that happened in Q3. So if you noticed your rankings dropping in early September, Google rolled out a core algorithm update, and it started rolling out between the 22nd and the 24th of August. But the impacts, the peak of the impacts were on September 1st, and we kind of saw things top out around September 7th. So we did some digging into this, and data suggests that some of the biggest losers in terms of visibility were major online marketplaces. So Amazon, eBay, Etsy. And the other major large-scale trend that was observed here was that large music and reference domains also saw some positive impacts. So that's websites like Apple, Last.fm, and even Wikipedia, interestingly enough. So overall, I think just from an SEO perspective, this wasn't a major update when we're comparing it to other past core updates that we've seen come down from Google. But just something to keep in mind if you're taking a look at performance over the past few months and you're noticing some changes. So in addition to that previous update that rolled out around the end of August, we also saw an update later in September that I think was a little bit more interesting. So I think the most interesting piece of this update is that it looks like Google has loosened their guidance on AI-generated content. We know that previously a big piece of the helpful content system of algorithm updates was prioritization of human-generated content and making sure that content generated by AI language models was not dominating the search engines. And it seems like maybe Google has kind of shifted their tone on this and are a little bit more open towards allowing AI content to thrive within the search engine results page.
So what do you think this means for marketers then who are testing out utilizing AI? What do you think it means for the editorial team for different businesses?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think one that all marketers should be asking themselves when we're taking into account these updates. And I think the biggest takeaway is that we know the AI train is chugging along with no stop in sight. Even though we know some people in big tech have been calling for maybe it's slowing down, but we still know it's a big piece of our world right now. And with those language models, there is room to make some of our jobs a little bit easier, a little bit more efficient. So I would say I don't recommend 100% using AI to build out all of your content and optimize your whole website and trusting in that. But I think if you could stand for some of your processes on your team to be done more efficiently, maybe consider using it as a starting point for content creation, but also ensuring that you're taking the time to make sure that that human aspect is present so that you're not penalized, and also so that the content on your website has that human aspect and you're still a human brand.
And has value, because we know that AI is only as good as its inputs. And just because you have content being developed by AI doesn't mean that it's going to be factual, doesn't mean that it's going to read in a human voice, human style. There's not going to be, some of those elements of humor. But some of those ways that we've seen AI be more of a tool and not a replacement is, you could develop an entire blog post, throw it in ChatGPT and say, what are the keywords that are standing out here? And it can be used as a litmus for you to see where do you need to make some edits and updates, or even ask it for support of threading in some of the keywords that you're trying to rank for.
Yeah, I think we're definitely not at a point where we want to be using AI as our end all be all for content generation and just taking whatever it says as fact and throwing it on the website. But it can definitely be a bit of a tool for saving some time and allowing that content creation process to go a little bit faster. So, Reed, now that I've shared all of that with you and we've really had a conversation about it, what would you say the biggest takeaway of this series of updates and this new update from Google is for all marketers and SEOs to keep in mind?
I would say, with the first update, it's really important that marketers and SEOs are staying on top of when these updates are coming out to be able to correctly communicate to your team, your key stakeholders. If you see a drop in ranking, why that is. It might not be a negative thing that has happened on the site or that you really have power or influence over, but it may be something from Google's algorithm update where everybody across the board is seeing the same thing. On the side of the relaxing standards for AI content or AI generated content, I think this is one that we keep following along with. It's such a new environment for us to be monitoring, and it's a fast moving one when it comes to AI and where we're headed in the next, honestly, year or next few months. From our perspective, we know that it's imperative to utilize AI as a tool and not a replacement for the human element. And what we're going to be focused on is how can our clients and marketers stay competitive on Google with these updates and just the evolving shift with digital marketing and the relationship to AI.
That's so true, Reed. I think it really remains to be seen how this is really going to continue to impact our work. I don't think we're looking at AI taking over our jobs totally anytime soon, but definitely lots of cool stuff to stay tuned for. So that's our update on the Google organic side of things. Reed, I would love to hear from you what we're looking at on the paid social side.
Yeah, when we look at the last quarter and what shifts we're really seeing on the paid social side, most platforms are leaning more heavily onto in-app shopping. So with the launch of TikTok Shop and its success across the platform, we've also seen this same functionality do really well on Meta or across Facebook and Instagram. And what we're seeing from the advertising standpoint is that these platforms are really trying to force us as advertisers and marketers into utilizing this functionality. And why this may be, or our assumptions on these shifts for advertising and having in-app shopping, is these platforms want to keep you on platform. They don't want you moving away, going into your web browser. They want your eyeballs in their app. This is a way for them to be able to sell more ad space. This is a way for them to be able to sell more ad space. So on the back end, we're seeing Facebook, Meta, Instagram, that collective push and tell us to utilize shopping ads, product shopping ads, and the same on TikTok. I'm sure if you are advertising across either of these platforms, you've received an offer for some free ad spend, which is quite enticing and you should take it up. A lot of these platforms, TikTok especially, is wanting to get more folks utilizing their shop capabilities. And so they're offering $500 of free ad spend, $10,000 of free ad spend, depending on your typical ad spend across that platform. If you spend a certain amount and utilize TikTok Shop. So it's a great way to test it. It's still really early on. And it's interesting too, from a user perspective, we're kind of seeing a mixed response from users across TikTok.
Yeah. So what, I guess from the user perspective, what are some of the pros and the cons that we've seen? Yeah, I think that's so true. I think as a user, I definitely have seen a shift, but I would love to hear from you what we have seen users saying in response to this increased presence of the TikTok shop.
Yeah, there's definitely been a lot of dialogue around how TikTok is an entertainment platform. And there's been less engagement with the expansion of more ads across the platform and the expansion of the TikTok shop. I know personally from my experience as an avid TikTok viewer, I scroll past ads on TikTok. I don't know about you, but I see the sponsored line or I see the TikTok shop eligible product and it doesn't make me want to engage.
Yeah, I think I feel the same way. I think one response I've been seeing from a lot of people and something I've been noticing with my own scrolling habits is that I'm seeing the same like 5 products being pushed on TikTok shop, less than a variety from, small businesses who could really use that boost. It's like I'm seeing the same 4 products being pushed by a ton of different users all across the app.
That's so interesting you say that. That leads to another piece that is changing across TikTok. They're actually testing subscription-based accounts where it's ad-free. So maybe it is a vast user experience of not wanting the ads, and they're going to find another revenue generator in a subscription model.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I know as someone who famously used the now banned YouTube ad blocker, that maybe paying for TikTok is something I would potentially explore. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes and if it really takes off. Okay, Reed. So with all that said, if I'm a small business and I'm considering signing up for TikTok Shop and getting some additional eyes on my product, what should I know? What should I consider?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend if you have the capacity and capability to set up TikTok Shop. I would also set this up across Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, just for your organic visibility, having the functionality of people being able to shop your posts. It's really valuable and it's a free low lift functionality of these platforms. When it comes to advertising across TikTok, this is still a new one to test. If you are offered from TikTok a free ad spend amount, we recommend taking up that offer and getting some TikTok shop ads out and see how they perform for your business. Since it's so new and so fresh, it's varying across different industries, products. So we'd say take advantage of the offer and being an early adopter and testing it out on your end. With TikTok, though, it's such a new platform and it's evolving really quickly from where it first started as, a dance challenge platform or kind of the evolution of Vine to where it's at now, where it's driving, kind of a collective culture, inside jokes. We're seeing an evolution of how folks engage on social media and with the internet. TikTok has really democratized the way that people show up on the internet, the information that's shared on the internet. And that has had a huge impact on our historic social platforms, like kind of the OG Facebook and how people behave on Facebook. So Megan, I know you've got some updates and some stuff we've been following along since Q2, but what exactly is happening on Facebook now?
Yeah, Reed, that's such a good question and such a perfect segue into what I want to talk about now is this report that came out at the tail end of Q2. And I think it gives a lot of insight into what users are looking for when they get on social media in the present day. Meta published their widely viewed content report, which offers insight into the most viewed content across Meta platforms, as well as trends on how users are consuming their content, specifically within the Facebook feed. Shockingly, there looked to be a decrease in political or argumentative posts and a much higher volume of lighthearted content that was being much more frequently viewed. Some of the most popular content, to be specific, included news about a comet that's going to be passing Earth sometime next year, celebrity gossip, which I love, I probably contributed to those numbers, conversations around Netflix's updates to their password sharing policies, just much more low stakes content than some of the really politically charged content that was really dominant during the past 8 years or so. This report was actually developed in response to criticism and claims that Facebook was dominated by all of that controversial and really divisive content. And Mark Zuckerberg even shared that in 2021, after the insurrection, a main piece of feedback for Meta at that time was that people did not want to log into Facebook and see this political content all over their feeds. So it's clear based on these results that they've made changes to what exactly their algorithm is pushing out, how they're catering to user wants. And this may be doing them some favors in terms of getting away from that narrative of how they massively influenced the 2016 and 2020 elections. One other thing I want to note that was covered in this report is that 92% of the views during the first quarter did not include a link to a source outside of Facebook. So I think, Reed, this ties right in with what you were saying about the TikTok shop, about these platforms really wanting to make sure that we're staying on their platforms. So this is directly related, I would say, to the push of video content on Facebook, but could also act maybe as a light bulb moment if you're a social media manager who can't figure out why your engagement has been so down. And I will say, if you are pushing out content on Facebook and you're wondering why the heck you're not seeing numbers, you are not alone. That's a really common concern that I know we see across the board. And Facebook just overall has become a more challenging platform to be successful on from an organic standpoint.
That's so true, Megan. If you're struggling to get more followers on your Facebook, it's because it's a Facebook issue, not a you issue. If you've got key stakeholders who are wondering, why don't we have more Facebook followers? It's because Facebook honestly is struggling with this, with the introduction of TikTok and how well it engages its users and entertains them. I think what we can see with this report and update is that Facebook is trying to evolve and maybe some success, but not as successful as its new competitors. So what should you take away from this? Really, it's a matter of what is the content that you're posting on Facebook and what are you using Facebook as a platform for? We recommend that Facebook acts like a second web page where you're posting updates, sharing valuable, entertaining content, and having this as a necessary but not a key piece of your growth plan. You'll want to keep your Facebook because Facebook's not going away, but it's not growing exponentially. So where there's more opportunity is really on platforms like TikTok and Instagram and even Pinterest.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Reed, for talking through some of those key marketing updates from the last quarter, or I guess from the last couple quarters. Those are all super timely updates that we're going to keep a close eye on and just see how things continue to develop. If there's two things I love, it's pop culture and digital marketing. And luckily, today's conversation is just about those two things. So, Reed, I'm going to pass it over to you and let's get to it.
I couldn't agree more, Megan. I think you and I could probably talk about pop culture and marketing for endless hours. And now we're going to bring that to you all, because we want to talk about this shift in marketing that every marketer should be paying attention to. And that's the influence that pop culture has on the success of marketing campaigns.
The Barbification of digital marketing.
The Barbification, the Beyonce-fication, the Taylor-fication of marketing. And we might be a little biased. We are big pop culture fanatics, but we're not alone. We're seeing big companies across all industries leaning into pop culture and relevancy to gain awareness, gain traction, and engagement across their social presence.
One of my favorite examples of this, of course, relates back to Taylor Swift. Right around the time that Speak Now, Taylor's version, was coming out, I got an ad on my Instagram feed from Outdoor Voices of a model in a purple athletic dress with sparkly emojis in the caption, very clearly flagging to Taylor fans, but being very, very, very careful, very coy about it. And it definitely got my attention. And I did look through the comments, and they reached their target audience for sure.
It's so smart. It's such smart marketing because it's rising tides. As Speak Now, Taylor's version took off and took the world by storm, brands can elevate themselves by joining in on the conversations. My favorite had to be with, the summer of Barbie, when national parks started to get involved in the inside jokes of Barbie, and White Sands National Park actually posted Pink Sands National Park with Barbie font, all pink. And this was their top performing post historically. I think that's the thing that we're really keying in on, is it's not only, fun or relevant, but it's engaging. And time again, we're seeing across brands who participate in pop culture, it's benefiting them, and they're seeing their highest performance yet because they're involved in relevant conversations.
Yeah, Reed, I think that's a great point. And I think even when we look at our own Instagram feed, this summer, Avenue actually took a day off in honor of the Eras Tour stop in Seattle. And we posted our own version of an Eras Tour poster. And if I'm not mistaken, it's probably in our top 3 most liked Instagram posts.
Oh, yeah.
Of all time on our feed. And so that just goes to show the impact of really making sure that your brand has that listening ear and is there for those trending pop culture moments.
And if you want to dive into the subject even more, our founder and CEO, Anna Medill, has written about this on our LinkedIn newsletter, The Conscious Marketer, where she dove into the impacts that pop culture has on marketing and the opportunities that all brands have to really engage in a thoughtful way. It's also just showing the importance of a good social media manager. You see those posts, the memes and jokes about, we're hiring for a social media manager. And the job title or the job description is copywriter, content creator,
photo editor, meme generator,
make this viral. Like, it's comical because, there's so many times we hear from clients. We'll have a conversation with a client where they tell us that their key stakeholders want this to go viral, as if,
that's just a button you can push.
Just a button. But no, actually, it's strategy, and it's thoughtful and intentional development of your creative and how you're participating in the greater ecosystem of what's being talked about, what the solutions are that your product provides. So I guess this is kind of a message out there for all of you marketers and marketing teams. Give more love to your social media managers, because they're keeping relevant and up to date with not only marketing trends, but trends holistically and how to engage with them. It's a real art form, and I think it's something that we're going to see continued demand and value of in the job market.
I think as social platforms shift and change, that role is only going to get more and more important and more specific to the type of skill set you need and how on top of it you need to be. So we definitely, if you're a social media manager out there, we love you, we see you, we hear you. And
take some time off.
Yeah, take a day off, ask for that raise, you deserve it.
Well, this has been so fun, Megan. I've loved diving into these updates and, diving into, of course, pop culture and marketing. This has been our inaugural podcast, and I can't believe that we're doing this.
So true. Reed, thank you so much for being here. I can't believe we're finally here. And this is the first of many. We love pop culture, we love digital marketing, and we love doing it with a purpose. And that's what we're here to talk about. So if you want to hear more about how Avenue is dedicated to using marketing as a force for good, please subscribe to our Conscious Marketer newsletter. We will have a link to that subscription in the episode description, as well as links to our website. and our social media platforms so you can follow along. We have lots of good old content to look through, and we're excited to keep diving in here.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. This was our first podcast. We're learning and we're excited to grow and provide valuable content. I guess the last thing I'll say is, the most effective type of marketing is word of mouth.
That's so true, Rita. We always tell our clients the most sincere form of flattery is a referral.
So I guess we've got an ask for you. Tell your friends about The Conscious Marketer and tune in to our next episode.
Thanks, y'all. See you next time.